Hello everyone, myself Vinay Mishra, the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering Department of Ambalika Institute of Management and Technology, affiliated with AKTU. Today we are going to have a discussion for the subject of thermodynamic in BTech third semester from AKTU syllabus. Today basically we are going to talk about uh, the second law of efficiency of thermodynamics, or we can say how second law of efficiency is useful in our life. In the previous lectures, we talk about the first law of thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics, PMM1, PMM2, the concept of entropy. We have seen that the how entropy is going to affect our life, our uh, the basic if we talk about refrigerator, if we talk about heat pump, if we talk about open system, closed system and heat engine, then how the concept of entropy we are going to apply for. In the previous lecture we have discussed. We also discussed about the available and unavailable energy. In fact, we have also discussed some aspects of second law efficiency. Now, as we have already discussed the statement for the second law of efficiency, that it is nothing but the ratio of the actual efficiency to the maximum efficiency. In the previous lecture, we have seen that if we calculate the thermal efficiency or actual efficiency, then it will come around 300 divided by 600, 50%. If we talk about its maximum efficiency, it was coming around 1 minus T2 by T1. This by this divided 1 by 4, 0.25 minus 1 minus 0.25, that is equal to 75%. Now, if we talk about the efficiency, thermal efficiency, actual efficiency of this engine, then we see that thermal efficiency of this engine equal to 300 divided by 600, that must be equal to 50%. Now, if we talk about its maximum efficiency, its Carnot cycle efficiency, then it was coming around Carnot cycle efficiency, it was coming around 50%. Thus, we can see that the engine A as far and engine B, if we have a comparison into, if we compare the performance of these two in terms of quantity, then we will find that the same amount of work done what we are getting over here in case of A, the same amount of work done what we are getting in case of B. 300 kilojoule, basically this one is kilojoule, this one is kilojoule. So, if we make a comparison in between these two, then we find in terms of quantity that we are getting the same amount of work done in case of engine A and same amount of work done in case of engine B. But when we talk about its actual efficiency, we will find that its actual efficiency is 50%, that we have already talked earlier, and its maximum efficiency, that must be equal to its Carnot cycle efficiency or reversible efficiency, that must be equal to 1 minus T2 upon T1, that is equal to 75%. And for this engine B, its actual efficiency is 50%, this divided by this actual work output to the heat input, and if we talk about its maximum efficiency, it is coming around 50%, that means 1 minus T2 by T1, 300 divided by 2, 0.5, 1 minus 0.5 is equal to 0.5, and this one, this one. Okay. Thus, as we have seen that if we talk about quantity, these both are having same performance, but if we talk about its quality, then we see that it might have performed 75%, but at this instant it is only performing 50%. That means, the performance of engine A for a particular instant is not its maximum value. It might have performed 75%, but still at any particular given time it is performing only 50%. Now, about this engine, if we talk about the engine B, we see that it might have performed 50%, and that particular instant it is performing 50%. That means, it is this engine performs its 100%. That means, if we talk about the quality of the engine, then we will say definitely the performance of engine B is better than the performance of that of engine A. So, we can say simply calculate its value of second law efficiency, that is coming around actual efficiency divided by maximum efficiency, 50 divided by 50, that is coming around 100%. That means, its relative efficiency, or we can say the second law efficiency, equal to 100%. That means, it is performing, it is giving, this engine is giving its best under this condition. Okay. This might have performed 50%, this might have performed 50% at its maximum value at the for the given instant of time, this engine is performing its 100%, that means 50%. So, we can say this engine performed better in terms of quality. Now, if we talk about this one, we see that the actual performance is 50%, but the maximum performance is 75%. So, we can say this engine is not performing well as compared to engine B when we talk about its maximum efficiency. So, we can calculate its second law efficiency, 50% divided by 70%, it is coming around less than 100%, and it is coming around 100%. So, in terms of it is coming around less than 100% and it is coming around 100%. So, we can say if in terms of quality, this performs not well, and in terms of quality, if we consider the performance of engine B, then we will say the performance of engine B is better than the performance of that of engine A. So, it is something like the example, if we take the example, if we try to understand what exactly the meaning of what exactly the kind of significance of second law efficiency in our life, then we can say that simply if we take the example of Sachin, we can say in cricket team, if we take the example of Sachin Tendulkar, or we can say the second one we are having Harbhajan Singh. So, the first one Sachin, second one Harbhajan. If we take the example, for a particular match, if Sachin scored 20 runs in the same match, Harbhajan Singh scored same 20 run. Okay. So, when we talk about its quantity, their performance in terms of quantity for that particular match, then we see that these two player performs equal sense, or their contribution for that particular match is only for 20 runs, that is equal in terms of quantity only. But if we concern for the quality, then we see that this player might have performed very well this player might have performed very well, may its maximum score may be equal to 200. Instead of making 200, this player only scored 20 runs. That means, when we compare this 20 to its maximum value 200, we see that somewhere this player is not playing well. Or when we take example of this player, in spite of the fact that he scored same as the score of this player, we will say that the Harbhajan might have performed in a way that he scored only 50 run, That means, we are not expecting the kind of performance for Harbhajan as that in case of Sachin. So, we can say that instead of the fact that these two players scoring same run, but we will definitely say that Harbhajan Singh or this player performed very well, because we are not expecting the rate, we are not expecting as that in case of this player. So, we can say for a quality concern, for the performance concern, we will definitely say that this player performed very well as compared to the performance of this player. If we divide 20 by maximum 200, coming around 10%. If we divide 20 divided by 50, 20 divided by 50, coming around 40%. That means, the second law of efficiency for this equal to, we can say 40%, and the second law of efficiency for this player 20 divided by 200 or 2 divided by 10 or 2 divided by 20, 1 divided by 10, we can say the second law of efficiency is 10%, or in another word we can say that this player performed well as compared to the performance of this player if we talk in terms of quality. So, in this way we see that how second law of efficiency is useful in our life as well as in thermodynamic processes, in thermodynamic system for particular heat engine, if it is being given to us, or for particular refrigerator or heat pump. So, we can simply find out the second law of efficiency for the given machining element, or we can say for the given device, if its maximum efficiency is given, if its actual efficiency is given, by dividing both of them, actual divided by maximum, we will get the value of second law of efficiency, we can say in terms of quality. Now, next topic, the availability in steady flow system. We talk about available energy and unavailable energy in the previous lectures. Now, we are going to have a discussion for the availability for the steady flow system. Consider a fluid flow steadily with a velocity c1 from a reservoir in which the pressure and temperature remain constant at P1 and T1 through apparatus to atmospheric pressure of P0. We are considering the atmospheric pressure to be P naught. We are considering here the atmospheric pressure to be P naught. Let the reservoir at a height of Z1. We are simply taking the reservoir, the input height of Z1. From the datum, this kind of the expression we have already used when I have taken lecture for steady flow energy equation, when we have applied the first law equation for the steady flow process. In that lecture we have discussed in detail. So, here from that concept only we are taking some consideration. Height Z1 is given from the datum, which can be taken at exit from the apparatus Z naught is equal to 0. This is basically Z2. If we are not considering the output height from the datum, then we can simply say that the value of Z naught or Z2 not refers the atmospheric condition. Okay. In that condition, we can simply assume that the kind of assumptions are there. If Z naught is equal to 0, we are going to simply use this equation for the equation that we are going to have a discussion for. For maximum work output obtained for the apparatus, exit velocity C naught must be 0. See, the equation, steady flow equation, that must be, we can write it like C1 square minus C2 square upon 2. Okay. In order to have maximum work done, in order to have maximum value of W max, if we are talking about the maximum work output in case of available energy, we can simply take the value of C naught is equal to 0. That means, if for the maximum value of work output, we are simply going to consider the C naught as C naught equal to 0, or the velocity at output in atmosphere, that is considered to be 0. Now, the reversible heat engine working between limit would reject T naught S1 minus S naught unit of heat. This is basically the term used as the amount of heat rejected. This is basically the term used as the amount of heat rejected. How? See, some amount of, if the heat is rejected, say Q2 is the amount of heat rejected to the atmosphere, whose temperature is T naught. T naught is the temperature of atmosphere. We can consider it as a reservoir as it remain constant. That means, the temperature of reservoir remain constant even if we reject the large amount of heat Q2 into it. Okay. In that condition, T naught remain constant, and for constant temperature we know that ds is equal to dq by T or Q2 by T naught here. From this equation we can say that the amount of heat rejected to the system, that must be equal to the change in entropy into corresponding temperature, that is equal to T naught. The same equation we are going to use it over here. That means, T naught is the temperature, simply T naught is the temperature, and ds is the change in entropy. S1 minus S naught is the change in entropy of a system. if we talk about quantity, then we will find the amount of heat rejected, that must be equal to the T naught into change in entropy. That is, this equation is coming out from somewhere here. Okay. So, simply T naught is the atmospheric temperature, thus if the T naught is the atmospheric temperature, thus simply from first law equation that we have already proved in earlier classes, delta U is equal to Q minus W, okay. And if the kinetic energy is there, we are going to consider it. If potential energy is there, we are going to consider it. If pressure is there, we are going to consider it. So, if we take overall equation, then the equation will be becoming like this: W is the work output, and this one is the work transfer, heat transfer. Q is the heat transfer. Okay. So, and this one H1 is the enthalpy, H naught is the enthalpy at corresponding to surrounding one, C1 is the inlet velocity, Z1 we have already discussed, Z naught we have taken 0. So, the equation reduced in somewhere such a way. Further, most of the in thermodynamic system, if we neglect kinetic energy, if we neglect the kinetic as well as potential energy, in that condition we see that the term used for potential energy m g Z1 minus Z2 or Z2 minus Z1, this must be neglected. Or if we talk about the kinetic energy, the kinetic part of the energy, then we see that the term half m v square, or v is the velocity, here I am using the word C1. So, we see that if we talk about the kinetic energy, that must be equal to half m c square. In that condition, that can be taken as negligible in some of the process. For that process, I am going to reduce this equation further. Simply reducing this one, neglecting this one, we obtain the equation H1 minus T naught S1 minus H naught, this plus this must be equal to T naught into S naught. So, the term this B is equal to H1 minus T naught S1, or B naught is equal to H naught minus T naught S naught. We can simply designate this term as a B and this term as a B naught. Now, B naught, or we can say B is equal to H naught, sorry, H minus T naught S is called the steady flow availability function. In this way, we can find the value of steady flow availability function. Now, the work done in a non-flow reversible system per unit mass we are talking about, that means we are considering mass as a single one. For this equation, this is basically the first law equation, delta U is equal to Q minus W, the same equation that we have talked about in our previous lecture. Delta U is equal to Q minus W, delta U is equal to Q minus W. In the given equation, the Q is equal to TdS, Q is equal to TdS, because we are considering the temperature is a constant. In that condition, the change in entropy must be equal to the amount of heat transfer divided by temperature. ds is equal to dq by t, ds is equal to q by t. In that condition, we can simply use the term q is equal to T ds, temperature into change in entropy. U naught, it is okay, U1 it is okay, internal energy, ds we are going to simply write it as a S naught minus S 1. Now, if we rearrange this equation, then we are getting some equation like this. Here you can write u 1 minus T S 1 minus u naught minus T S naught. This u minus T s is known as Helmholtz function. Simply we can write the term u minus T s, internal energy minus temperature into entropy at that point. We can designate this quantity as this function. Okay. Now, for the maximum work output, if we consider the work against atmosphere, if we consider the work done against atmosphere, which can be taken as the P dV, P into change in volume, as we know that the work in that case that must be equal to pressure into change in volume. From that equation we are going to use the work against atmosphere, that is equal to P naught into change in volume. So, simply we can find out the value of W max in terms of this one. For the value of W, we are getting this value from here. We are going to simply use this, the value of W from this equation, and we are going to put in this equation. Then the final equation what we are getting over here is something like this. So, simply we are arranging some parameters in the given equation. We are getting the equation like this. The final equation what we are getting over here is something like this. See, u 1 plus P naught V 1, we are going to use this quantity as H 1, because as we know that H is the enthalpy for a particular process, or we can say particular point, and that must be equal to internal energy H is equal to U is equal to H, sorry, simply yes, H 1 is equal to U plus P V. We are going to use the term H 1 which must be equal to U plus P V. That means enthalpy is nothing but the summation of internal energy U and product of pressure and specific volume, that is V 1. Simply we can write U 1 plus P naught V 1 equal to H 1, and the same we are going to write U naught plus P naught V naught, that must be equal to H naught. So, we are going to simply use this word H minus T s as G 1 H naught minus T S naught equal to G naught. Now, this H minus term is known as Gibbs function for free energy function. In this way, we can find out the value of Gibbs function. We have seen that how Gibbs function is written as H minus T s for the maximum possibility of available work. When the system changes from 1 to 2, we can simply write as a G 1 minus G naught minus G 2 minus G naught, that must be equal to the G 1 minus G 2. In this way, we have seen that how Gibbs function, Helmholtz function can be written as. So, in this way we have seen that how the availability of a steady flow process is there, how Gibbs function is there, what is Helmholtz function. In this way we have seen the concept of available energy and unavailable energy and second law of efficiency. So, this is all about today. In our next classes I am going to discuss moreover about steam, about Rankine cycle and so on. Okay, thanks a lot.